We're doing the LA Pet Fair Roundup. Randy's here, Eric's here, and special guest Rami's here. Yay!
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. It'll be fun to just talk about the show and how it went and where it's maybe going in the future. But first, really quick sponsored shout outs. Shane Kelley, Small Town Xotics, he'll be on Reptiles Unplugged this weekend at 9 p.m. And his news for the week is that he bought a puppy. Congratulations. We love puppies. Got a beagle. I don't know if he needs a beagle.
Never mind.
But he's got one now.
I'm not going to clap anymore. No beagles.
No, you know, like a hound dog howling in the middle of the night.
All the time.
Bravo Zulu, ball pythons. She's at Schaumburg coming up soonest, and her announcement is she also bought a puppy. Yay!
Wow.
I don't know what the trend was this week. Check her out, bravozuluballpythons.com. Justin, I have no idea what Justin's doing as usual, but I'm assuming he's in the Pacific Northwest and he's probably going to Van Puellup in like a week now. That's what Andrew's doing at Powerhouse Pythons. He will definitely be there. He's got a bunch of snakes available, and he will be updating Morph Market right after. Gray Family Snakes is getting ready for the Daytona show. Big show. Check them out there or go to grayfamilysnakes.com because they have clutches hatching all summer. And Chris Abias Reptilia, he will be at the July 19th Gettysburg Expo, and he'll have Longicauda, Bloods, Colubrids, ball pythons, and all kinds of fun stuff. So those are the sponsors, and I did it in less than a minute, and I think that's a world record, and I deserve a round of applause.
Well, we're all about the applause today.
I'm trying to stay positive. Okay. All right. Let's do a 30,000 foot view real quick and maybe go backwards in time. Rami, this is what I'm curious about. What was the inciting moment where you're like, man, we should do more kinds of animals at this show instead of just reptiles?
13 years ago, I bought the .com LA Pet Fair, and then I invited two other show promoters of dog and cat and aquatics, and they came and they didn't pull their weight. This is like in 2010 or 2011. And then I didn't like the way how they promoted their show and did their stuff. And I just said, we won't do it again. But I held on to the .com knowing that one day I would love to make this, to bring, my whole goal was to bring exotic pet owners of bird and aquatic over to reptile to kind of increase our, just the whole visibility of what we do and how we do it. And it worked out. Those bird people and the aquatic people had no idea what the reptile industry was. These guys are in the other buildings, they're bickering and they're fighting and they're not supporting, and then they come over to us and they're like, wow, look at it's like a big family. Even at the US Arc auction, they were just like, wow, look at what you guys do, like this is just incredible. So it was a great weekend, and it made them realize, and now they're trying to step up their game, I think. But that was my whole goal, was to bring more exotic pet owners over to the reptile side and just increase everything on our side, show our side some more love,
Yeah, was it hard getting those other two categories of vendors to vend because they're not used to, I don't know, like hauling? I know there's like fish shows, but they don't. They do it differently than we do. They
do, and there's not that much of attendance, and it's really like niche, like just coral guys or just saltwater. But it was hard last year when I started it, and then a lot of people that came last year were like on the fence, but we're going to come check it out, and then we'll decide after that. And since we knocked it out of the ballpark last year, everyone was on board this year. So, we had both those buildings filled, and it was great. It was a great weekend.
Have you thought about like a dog and cat building, but just for like accessories? Just accessories.
We have dog and cat accessories outside.
Okay.
Like there's a lot of booths outside, and there's dog and cat accessories. But the whole Fairplex, the Pomona Fairplex, is just concrete. There's not even 1 ounce of grass anywhere. Well, I mean, there might be an ounce of grass, but I don't know about like lawn. It's California,
Right.
But there's no like lawn or anywhere for your dog to go.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of it, they're just me. That's what happened 13 years ago when I bought on that Pet USA or whatever they were called. They had dogs and cats. And I mean, the pooper scoopers were in effect. I mean, the whole Fairplex cleaning crew was out there, scooping up poop all weekend. And I said, this is gross. Like, this is not
Because
cool.
I
you
want
know?
the dogs to be there, but like, like people will spend a lot of money on just dog
Supplies, yeah.
dog harnesses, hats, just like
Yes.
just waste money on dog crap.
Yep, they sure do.
Yeah, and good for them, you know.
Yeah, those guys did good out there. There's a lot
Yeah.
of vendors outside. Plants and a lot of succulents outside, a lot of plants inside. And outside, I mean, they had every fair food, funnel cake, you know, chicken, corn dog, hot dog on a stick. I mean, everything was out there, you know, just every food vendor was out there. And they were all killing it with their, you know, $20 cheeseburgers or whatever they're selling. So
Shout out to the popcorn guy who gave us free popcorn when we walked by.
Mhm.
yeah,
He
that's
was
cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
All right, next question. And this is for Rami again, because like I've been like desperate to have a reptile night market, like have food trucks, food vendors, but the show is at night, and you're more experienced and smarter than me. So, do you think that could ever work, where it's from like noon to 9 p.m.?
I
And
think
it's
it would work on a Friday, like if you had like vendors set up Friday morning, and then you went from noon to 9, and then just did it Saturday and Sunday, like normal hours, 10 to 5 or 10 to 4, or whatever. I think that would work like a Friday night thing, or maybe even start later instead of noon, start at like 4 to 9 and let all the vendors set up like, you know, morning. I think that would kind of be cool and do it a 3-day show. I've heard of somebody that did that before and it was actually pretty successful.
yeah, I just think like our people are degens for the most part. Let's be clear, right? A lot of them don't even want to show up till lunchtime anyway. It feels like. And so then I'm like, what if like our clientele is really a 20-something who rolled out of bed at noon,
Yeah.
and he might just miss it. So
Mhm.
if it's like a 12 to 8 p.m. or 4 to 10 p.m. night market type thing with dinner served there at the food trucks that are cool, $20 corn dogs, whatever.
Oh yeah.
Then maybe it fits certain people better in our demographic,
Mhm. Yeah, I think it'd be cool on a Friday to do it like that.
especially in California where you're like nights are nice anyway,
Yeah,
temperature wise.
Mhm.
All right, let's talk about
Does
sales.
Shelly do something like that?
I
Like
would,
Shelly does something at night, or they used to.
yeah, but you still have to vend the day
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, and then you're
and
just
then
hanging
come
out
back
for like
later.
12
I'm
hours.
like,
Yeah.
no.
Our show was
Yeah,
just
that's a
so
lot.
exhausting for vendors. I don't know if they'd be able to do it. Some of them are telling me you got to end it at 3 on Sunday. You know, it's like these guys just want to get out of there because they're
Yeah.
just so exhausted. Because it is a busy weekend. Where like Randy, how long did it take you to recover?
Usually takes about a day, but you
Yeah.
know, we get up at like 6 in the morning on Friday, and then we drive out, and then you know, it's full 3 days standing on our feet.
Yeah.
And by the time we get back to
used to it.
Phoenix on Sunday, like we're just dead.
Yeah, we drive back. I got back at what 11:30. What time did you get back, Eric?
I got back at 11:30 also. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got back at
So then I
1.
got to put all the animals away.
Yeah.
And
And I had to wake up the next morning super early to return our box truck. And I was just like that second day, that Monday, I just felt like I was just like dizzy, like just weird, like gotten off a boat after I got beat up or something, you know. It was wild.
yeah, you move a little slower. It took me like 6 hours to put snakes away. It took me like an hour and a half to pack them up, you know.
Yeah.
So it's just like,
All right, let's talk about attendance and or sales. Do you think attendance was the same as last year? I'm sure Ronnie
More.
would know.
It was more. It was
It was
definitely more. Yeah.
nice.
That's good. Were they in the buying mood? The macroeconomic stuff is confusing everybody in terms of, you know.
I think there was more buying this year than last year for the
Yeah.
LA Pet Fair.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can only speak for myself, but we did pretty well. So
Yeah. Yeah, most vendors do. You know, the vendors that don't do good are the ones that are sitting on their phones all weekend with their nose buried in their phone. And then they go, Rami, I had a horrible weekend. And I feel like telling them so bad. Like, yeah, every time I walk by, you were like this the whole time, you know? But, you know, I just keep my mouth shut. Better luck next time, bro. Like, I don't know, you know?
Well, it's like we were talking about. There's really not a bad spot in that whole place either. Like, it's just you've got to work the crowd because the crowd's going to come to you. Maybe on that one far corner, but you know, other than that, the crowd's going to come to you. You got to work them, and They're there to
Sometimes
buy.
I'll have a vendor beg to be really close to the front, and I'll put them in front, and they'll be like, no, put me in the middle or the back again. I didn't do good up here because people just walk by, you know.
Mm-hmm.
My one time that I've been to a show and it wasn't yours, it was a different show, but I was right by the front door. I learned very quickly I don't ever want to be by the front again. That's because they walk by you, they're not ready to buy yet because they haven't seen the show, and by the time they get back to you, they've already spent all their money.
Yep.
I don't like it.
Do they have to enter and exit from the same door? Can they exit from the back?
No, well, at the LA Pet Fair, we just open all the doors, so it's free access. You can come through the sides, you can come through the front, so it doesn't matter. But at a regular reptile super show, there's like the 2 entrance doors on the right, or actually it's 4 entrance doors on the right of the building, because the building is 3 acres. It's massive. So on the right side, we have 4 doors, and then on the very left side, we have 2 exit doors. So, and you know, like the human mind, when they go into a big building like that, they go down the right wall first. Like you're always just going to do that. No one starts in the middle. Everyone goes on the right side, and they tell themselves, don't buy anything from these guys. Let's get down the middle more. Like I have some vendors that tell me, Rami, I want to see the back wall. If I'm not close to the back wall, I'm not happy. Okay, easy enough. So
it's like going into a grocery store. You know, you always start to the right and you keep going down, up and down the aisles. So
yep. And I kind of keep everyone in their same spot. You know, like all the vendors that I've done. This is show number 52 I've done. So I've done 52 of these. But some of the vendors, I put them in the same exact spot every single time because, you know, just like you said, when you go to the supermarket, you know where the eggs are, you know where the milk is, you know where the meat is. So, you know, just like that, like always, you know, the frozen rodent guy, Lane Labs, is always right here. You know, this guy's always here. So, you know, I just keep them in the same spot to kind of keep it familiar for people when they come to the show.
Rami, is there somebody that you, or a class of person that you want to vend that you can't get? Like a class of kind of breeder?
Like Vin Russo?
Yeah, maybe like a specific person, or like a kind of breeder, like someone who just breeds.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to have him out there, but I know he's, you know, in New York or whatever, and I know it's kind of hard. I think he's got his snakes to one guy before, and he had them on sale on the table. But there isn't. I mean, we pretty much have everything there. You know, it doesn't. You know, there's not really. I don't know. There's not really anyone that, you know. I think we have a pretty good selection, and coming from all over.
It's good. So sales were good. Door was good. That's good. Boys, is there any, like, do you have any funny guest interaction stories?
I had 2 different people, 2 separate people, a couple hours apart, ask me if there was a certain kind of snake that they didn't have to have an enclosure for, and they could just keep in their pocket all the time.
pocket snakes.
Wow.
We got a different name for those.
Trouser snakes?
Trouser snakes.
Mm-hmm. Listen.
I had a lady ask me if she was specifically looking at the 10-inch deli cup that I had a snake in, and she's like, "Oh, it looks like you're serving that up." And I said, "Huh?" And she said, "Are you gonna? If that doesn't sell, do you take it home and cut it up and eat it?" And I said, "You can go that way." Like, I was like, "What in the world?" I just turned around and I went and I told Eric right away. I was like, "Did you hear what that lady said?" Like,
it takes all kinds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rami, do you have any interesting guests?
Yeah, there's always all kinds of interesting guests, but you know, one guy in the aquarium building was like complaining. He came up to me and complained to me and said, "You know, why am I all the way in the back of the building?" I said, "When did you pay?" He goes, "On Tuesday." I was like, I don't know what to say, dude. Like, you paid 3 days ago. Like, what do you expect? You know, all the guys in front paid in January, and he just didn't fathom. He didn't understand. You know, I was just like, all right, whatever. You know, but yeah, it's funny. You know, just sometimes, it's people watching for me. You know, it's cool. There wasn't. Do you guys see the baby zebra that was there?
No.
No.
Oh my
was
god! I
there?
knew you guys missed it. There's a
There was
baby
a
zebra
baby
all the way at
zebra?
the other side, past the bird building. There's a baby zebra and a bunch of these, like, dude, tiny little horses. They were like this big. It was crazy. And a bunch of baby
Wow.
goats. Yeah, it was cool. And the baby zebra was for sale. So
How
I
much
told my
was it?
wife that, and she goes, "Don't even start thinking that."
Only, yeah, good thing my wife didn't see it.
Yeah.
I went to the other buildings long enough to look around and then find a bird that I really wanted that cost way too much, and I went back to my booth so I wouldn't make any stupid decisions.
Yeah, the bird
Yeah, we
building's
had
loud
about-
and crazy. That building's wild.
Yeah. We got about an hour out from behind the booth to kind of go over there real quick to see the other two buildings, but that was about it. Which is a good thing. Like
I heard Randy got
Saturday was
some
slam,
birds.
Sunday was good. So.
How many birds did you get? Is it a secret? A bird secret?
So we got 4 total.
What
2
species?
pairs.
Oh, no, let's tell the story the
Finch.
real way. He was complaining about the 2 birds that were won at the auction.
Yeah,
or
so
going
the
for $1,000.
US ARC
So
auction.
what did he do? He went back to the bird building and doubled down and got 2 more.
I thought I'd call her bluff, you know. The US ARC auction, I had got up to go do something, and I came back to the table, and there's birds on my table. And I thought it was the ones that Chucky had won. And my wife's just sitting there giggling because she bought some star finches. So, and then the next day we wound up with some orange Weaver finches. So we got 2 pairs. So,
Are you going to breed them or just keep them as for fun? Pets?
I have no clue. We're just trying to keep the cats off of them right now. So we'll see how that works.
Oh, these are pretty cool.
Yeah, the males are real pretty. Their face, one face is really red.
You might be in the bird building next year, huh, Randy?
Oh, hell yeah.
No, maybe trying to sell them to get rid of.
All right, Purple Church has a question. Why did the show stop going to the concourse spot in downtown San Diego?
Because after like COVID, they started as a homeless shelter for women and children, and because it's a city-owned property, they said that is like a priority in the city right now. And so I've been down there and looked. It's 500 double what do you call those, like when the bed's on top of each other, like a bunk bed. 500 bunk beds, but not like nice wood ones. I mean, these are like Amazon put together in 2 minutes kind of thing, you know, with these like plastic mattresses. And I mean, there's literally 500 of them in the huge expo hall, and it's just made for women and children. And he said this is the concourse right now, and they don't see an end in sight. And the guy told me that runs it, and he loves me. He loves our show. He says it's his most favorite show. But he told me, Rami, he's like, I don't see an end in sight. Like, this is a city crisis, and it's going to continue like this. And he'll call me every year just to check up on me and tell me how things are going. But I got some tricks up my sleeve.
Nice.
All right.
That's all I got to say.
Related
All right,
question.
all right.
Have you ever considered expanding to the San Francisco Bay Area or NorCal? Asked Lisa.
I have. I know there's the laws in San Francisco are a little bit different on putting on a reptile expo. I know some of the outer cities out there, you could kind of get away with, like San Jose and stuff, or Sacramento. But Jeremy, who does the Sacramento show, is a good friend of mine. And we talk all the time, you know, before shows. We'll always wish each other a great weekend kind of a thing. And if we have any questions about anything, we'll reach out to each other. But just out of respect, I just won't go up there because Jeremy's up there. So, and like, I know Southern California like the back of my hand because I grew up here. So I know what freeways, what radio, what TV, what's popular, what areas, what freeway exit, you know, like all that kind of stuff. I know, and that's what I feel comfortable. I feel when I go to a new area, I just don't know what the 405 and 5 freeway are compared to a little free, you know, I just don't know all the logistics of that city. So keep it local.
Hey, we'd like to take a trip to San Diego to do a show. So wink, wink.
Got you.
That was Timothy's questions. What's the San Diego Convention Center or Del Mar Fairgrounds?
So Del Mar Fairgrounds, it's a big fairgrounds like Pomona. Well, not as big as Pomona, but they don't have temperature controlled buildings, and that's what's difficult up there. They only have one, and it's tiny, so that's difficult. San Diego Convention Center. Years ago, I contacted them. And they said, no, we don't want a reptile show here. We had an experience that happened back in the 80s that's,
The
scared
80s.
us. The 80s, okay? The 80s, early 90s, a big monitor got out of a cage, climbed these curtains that are like 30, 40 feet tall, and was hanging on there on these curtains way up in the air, freaked out all the staff. A box of crickets got broken open, and literally like this whole place is run with crickets running all over, and this monitor up on the curtains. And she goes, nah, we'll never have we're literally scared of reptiles because of what happened years ago when this other gentleman, I forgot his name, put the show on there. I think it was an IRBA show, but he put it on there, and it was just it wasn't good for that. And so they don't want any reptile, they don't want any animals there, so
There can't be anybody working there still from the 80s, right? I mean,
yeah, but I think it's written in their notes or probably inscribed on a wall somewhere, like no reptile shows forever.
It seems like a loose monitor and a box of crickets getting opened up is a good combination.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, actually, they said that the employees that were working there pretty much walked off the job and said, call me when you guys catch the monitor. That's how scared they were.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Do you think it's going to be like an increasing problem? Like, I don't know, as the hobby gets bigger and other promoters maybe have a hard time and a monitor gets loose and scares everybody, like there'll be less and less venues that will even accept reptile shows if we don't play our cards right. Because I hear that a lot now already.
Yeah. I mean, every show we have a snake that, gets loose or gets found. And good thing I have people in the area over there in Pomona that will drive out there and get it. Sometimes they're, nice piebald, something, like a nice snake for them. So they'll go over there and take it. But yeah, it's always, good thing it's not like a Gila monster or something, That's what I'm afraid of one time if something like that gets out. But
Corky has a question. You can answer this if you want to. What ethnicity are you?
I am Egyptian.
That's fun.
Yeah, I have a interesting background. Both my parents are born and married in Egypt, and then we moved to Amsterdam, and that's where I was born. I was born in Holland. And then that's probably why, I don't know. I just lived Dutch was my first language. I lived in Holland until I was 4 years old. And then I moved out here to Van Nuys, California, and lived in Southern California my whole life. So yeah, I'm Egyptian, 100%. Kind of crazy. A Dutch born Egyptian.
That's awesome.
But mostly Californian.
Yeah, but all Californian now, That's what I am.
Very
But
cool.
after 9/11, I was Puerto Rico, like Puerto Rico.
Man,
it was kind of scary, when that stuff happened. I remember like watching the TV, and there's like, and I understand Arabic. I know how to speak Egyptian, and like when you're watching it and there's talking on TV, in 1991 when I was watching it, it was scary to me to think like this is like kind of my background, I mean, they weren't, like one of the guys on the plane or, was Egyptian, and they were talking and doing interviews, and I'm understanding it. And then my little brother calls me up and he's like, did you watch that on the news? Because back then there was no internet or anything. I'm like, yeah. He's all, it's crazy. We understand it. I'm like, very scary, bro. Like very scary, but so yeah.
Do you ever feel like, I don't know, reptiles, snakes helps you get in touch with, I don't know, your cultural background? Do you ever want to get an Egyptian species of lizard or something?
I had an Egyptian tortoise at one time, but and I think there's these cool skinks that are Egyptian sand skinks, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, Uromastics and
Uromastic. I could have sworn I seen a big Uromastic when I was in Egypt when I was a kid, but who knows? Just I was probably 5 or 6 years old or something when I was out there vacationing. I don't have that big of a memory from that time, but yeah, I mean, I just like colubrids and hog nose. You know?
All right, that's cool. No, it's all cool. It's fun because everybody like it intersects with the species they like differently, even
Mhm.
through time. Because you're just like, I like this, and then I like that. But sometimes I don't know, the things that you remind you of something when you were a kid, or what you sort of resonate with later. So,
Yeah.
do you keep anything now at scale, or are you mostly focused on the show promotion?
No, I have a lot of snakes. I got crazy stuff. I got a lot of hog nose. I got like the super fire, the leucistic boa constrictors.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a favorite of mine. I got 5 of those. I have really cool indigo, like Eastern indigos. Bunch of ball pythons, mainly pieds, and a bunch of cool colubrids. I like all kinds of. I like everything. I like snakes. I don't like anything that eats crickets. Like that's just. I don't have any cricket eating anything. No lizards or anything. I mean, I have. I've used to own pet stores and all kinds of stuff back in the day. But now that I've got my snake room, I'm like, okay, I'm content with not feeding ever a cricket ever again.
Mm-hmm. I hear you. Sometimes I'm like, I either need no lizards or way more because there's like an efficiency fail there of having like 5. I'm like, I'm going to buy 2,000 crickets for 5 geckos because it's not worth shipping 20. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't mind lizards. I don't mind insect eating lizards. Where I draw the line is anything that has to eat Pangea or something similar. Like I don't know why that's the line for me, but just the simple act of mixing the Pangea is annoying.
Like making paste every day.
Yeah, and they waste like 80% of it, so it just
for 3 licks.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, you're actually a Mexican, not Egyptian. Sorry. If you ran pet stores, that's an interesting topic in some ways. Like, do you think there's space in the current world in 2025 for mom and pop pet stores, or do you think they're going to be outcompeted by private equity funded things, and then just like the ease of reptile shows and online sales?
Well, the reptile shop is kind of a unique thing, so I think they'll always be there, especially the really unique shops, But I think, and some of these shops that I go to are just incredible, like in Southern California. They're just incredible, and the amount of feeders they sell is also what keeps them alive. I know, Petco and PetSmarts aren't gonna, sell so many feeders, and the quality of feeders isn't all that. But no, I think with rent in Southern California, that of course sucks for businesses because it's like $5,000 a month for like a closet-sized store. So, other than that, trying to survive that would be cool. But yeah, I think reptile stores will stay just because it's a unique business and people are into it, and the maintenance side, the maintenance is buying the rat, the mouse, the cricket,
Right. There are certain things that you can get at the reptile shop that you really logistically can't get anywhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as vendors, we try to educate them too. I mean, not necessarily against Petco and PetSmart and those, and I don't mean to just throw out their names, but that's what everyone's thinking. But like the other mom and pops can specialize, like, you'll get live rats versus frozen, and that way, we can educate them to not use the big box stores and try the store down the street that specializes in this lizard or that habitat or whatever.
Yep.
So we try and do that as much as we can.
Every time I've talked to them, they've always been like, they get that sort of showcase problem where people will price match to Amazon, and then so like their dry goods lines have really just fallen apart in the last 10 years. That they sell a lot of feeders, but that's it. They have to like optimize for feeders instead of dry goods because you can just buy anything online, really. Yep. But Proper Church asked, when did you start the Super Show? And I think the first one I went to was in 2013.
So it was in 2007. I started this little like Scottish Rite Center in San Diego, and I didn't know what was going to happen. Like I didn't know if we opened the doors and no one was going to be there, or if we opened the doors and like the police were going to be there saying I'm causing a traffic jam. It was almost the second one. And the lady that runs the venue, she's like, Rami, you can never come back. This is way too much for us to handle. I was like, why? She's all, your line is wrapped around the venue twice. I'm like, oh shit. So
Wow.
that was my first show, you know? And back then I didn't know, like when I started, I was like, all right, cool. We're going to go in there. And I'm just going to open the door, start taking money. But my thinking was, oh shit, I forgot to bring change. Like I forgot to bring ones and fives. And this line went around the building, and I called up my friends or my friend who was there. I was like, hey, call your dad, tell him to go to the bank and get me like a couple $100 in ones and fives. He's like, yeah, no problem. So they ran to the bank, got me change, and thank God. But back in the day, it was all cash. It wasn't credit cards, you know? So the first couple shows, I would just come home. I wouldn't even know the number. I would just weigh the duffel bag, you know, on the scale. And then I'd be like, oh, that was a good show. And then just on to the next one, on to the next one. But then now it's turned completely around and there's no cash and it's all credit cards. And it just, you know, it's a lot easier, of course, and a lot safer. But yeah, from the beginning, like, you know, that was in 2007. And there was, you know, after that, I moved to downtown San Diego. I had it there a couple times. Then I moved to Pomona and I had it there. I was just doing it there once a year. And then the guy in Pomona says, Rami, why don't you come back twice a year? And I'm like, nah, it's too much work. You know, I got one in San Diego, one in Pomona. I'm happy. And he said, what if we give you the building for free? And I was like, well, why would you do that? And he's like, it's either it sits empty all weekend and nothing happens, or you come in, we sell a bunch of, you know, $20 corn dogs. We sell the parking, you know, we got, you know, $15, $20 a car, whatever it was back then. It was probably 13, 14 back then. But, you know, we're making money on the parking, we're making money on the food, you know, and the whole thing is going to go on, or we just sit empty all weekend. I'm like, all right, I'll do the free building deal. Like, that sounds like a plan. So he
That's
gave
a
me the
lucrative
building
offer.
for yeah, and then it was great. I was like, "Hey, let's do that free building deal again." He's like, "No, dude, that's just a one-time offer." He's like, "You want to do a second show?" I'm all, "Absolutely." So, yeah, that was
you.
great. Yeah, they did. They definitely hooked me and reeled me in like a silly fish. But no, I'm happy because Pomona is really cool. I love Pomona. They're like my friends over there. They love us, and you know, it was just so this last weekend was the 52nd time I've done a reptile super show since
Wow,
2007.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you? I maybe you can comment on this because I think most people think that the amount of shows in their area either they're good or too many or something like that. Do you think that SoCal is the correct amount the way it is right now, or do you think there should be more? Like,
No, I
based
think
on those-
I think it's the correct amount, but also like I kind of warn vendors like be careful of other shows that don't advertise, that don't treat you right, that charge too much, you know, like some of these vendors, yeah, I understand you got to take your time away from your family. You got to drive to a show or fly to a show. You got to ship your stuff. You got to, you know, get a hotel. You got to rent the booth. You know, there's a lot of stuff that they put in, and in return, some of these guys are telling me I didn't even make any money. I lost money.
Right.
And they just keep doing it. You know, they're like, all right, I'm going to try it one more time. I'm just like, don't go do shows that, you know, are not pulling their weight. Like on, you know, like this last show, I had 112 billboards, you know, like the guy that does my billboard campaign told me 30 million people will see this. That's not including any other advertising I do, which is just, you know, TV and radio and Instagram and Facebook and everything else that I do. Just billboards is 30 million people. And he said, if 1% of them go, you know, that's a very successful show. So that's, you know, some of these show promoters out there, I don't want to, you know, mention any names, but they don't do anything. You know, they think a couple Instagram posts and a Facebook post and cool, I'm going to bring the people in here, and it doesn't do that, you know. So that's why I you know, I mean, don't go out and do those shows because they're never gonna treat you right, and you're never gonna win as a vendor to make money. And that's important to me, because if I tell my mom, how much I spend on advertising, she'd have a heart attack. But at the same time, like, she would tell me, don't spend so much on advertising. I said, Mom, then that's the way it's gonna be. It's gonna slowly die on a twig. No one's gonna come, no vendor's gonna sell anything, and then soon my show will just die. But if I have to continue, like back in the day, it was all like newspaper and magazines and like the LA Weekly, like these, like, the weekly magazines that go out with the nightlife, and you're advertising. Now I have no printed stuff. You just got to go with the times of what is popular right now is your phone. Like, everyone's got their phone in their hand, so you have to take advantage of the social media aspect and advertising on that to get people aware.
Do you think paying or subsidizing the tables of creators has been worth it to you in your experience if you do that, or do you just like pay for their flights? What, like, is that more worth it?
I don't pay for no flights.
Listen, some of these people get
no
deals.
I mean, I get a lot of really cool like Dave Kaufman, Brian Cusco, and I know there's a bunch more that I don't know offhand who they are or whatever, but they all come out. But I mean, I've been asked before, but I say no. I mean, I think them making their own, videos there is enough for them to profit off me.
You don't like subsidize them extra.
Yeah, I mean, I've done it like a little love or whatever, free vendor wristbands for him and his friends, or free table there or something like that. But I'm not gonna go out and spend flights on them, those guys.
All right. Yeah, I'm always like maybe it would even still be worth it. Like, if they, I don't know, like, could you convince a Kardashian to come out or something? Who the hell's popular right now?
So
I don't even know.
A long time ago, Michael Jackson's kids came to the event, and it was like, this guy comes in, he's about the size of a Volkswagen bus, and he was like, I need 3 tickets, 1 for me and 2 for my guests that are waiting, or 3 more guests that are waiting outside. And I was like, why is this guy coming in here buying tickets when he could just come in? And he's like, I have guests waiting outside. And I was like, yeah, okay, I could just sell you these tickets, and then you could just come back through the door again. He's like, all right, thanks. So he got the tickets, he went back outside, and then I didn't see him come in. He came through the other door, but I guess he gave their tickets, and he walked in, and I didn't realize it was the bodyguard for Michael Jackson's kids. And they had accommodations to go get a leopard gecko at one of the tables at the show that they already had accommodations with or whatever. But a bunch of people, like vendors, Rami, Michael Jackson's kids are here. I'm like, yeah, leave him the fuck alone. Like, like, what are you doing, dude? So what, man? Don't take pictures of him and leave him alone, But I didn't even see them, but I heard they just came in, got their thing, and left because it's just like too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was probably the I'd say one of the biggest. Kerry King from Slayer, he buys a booth, and he was selling his snakes there for a while, which is cool. And then there's the guy from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, the guy whose dad had the Ferrari. You remember that movie? I forgot the guy's name. He was there, and I didn't even recognize him. And then one of my friends was like, "Hey, that's that guy from Ferris Bueller." I'm like, "No way!" And as I looked at him, I saw his face. Was that
Matthew Broderick?
No, it was the other guy, the guy with the dad's Ferrari guy, like.
Oh, Cameron.
That's it. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, he was there. That was cool. He was there with his daughter, and I just introduced myself, said, "Hey, honored you're here, man. That's cool." And there's been a bunch of other celebrities that come, but Melissa McCarthy, you know who that is?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, she was in the parking lot, and she did like Instagram posts like, I'm sitting, I guess her kids come to the show, and she's like, I'm sitting here in the parking lot of Pomona, and I'll tell you, whatever these guys at the Reptile Super Show are doing, this is incredible. Like, I didn't know, I had no idea. And she's like, I'm sitting here charging my Tesla in the parking lot, and there's just cars coming for days, like it's nonstop, and it was cool. And that thing got like 900 million views or some crazy on her Instagram, which I thought was cool. Like, whoa, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, there's been a bunch of celebrities there. I don't really, like,
that you should trick one of them into like a sponsored Instagram post, like on purpose. Like, roll out the red carpet a little bit, be like, would you like an extra fancy wristband? And I don't know. I've always thought about like, is it too weird to have it be like too public, or it attract the wrong kind of people there? And then, because you want like qualified buyers or who actually know why they're there.
Yeah,
if you
no,
can.
for sure. Like it's hard for me to like tell people like it's not a petting zoo, like don't come and pet the animals, don't even touch the animals, just buy them and leave, and go home and touch it all you want. But it's like some people like, can I touch a snake? Like they just go around thinking it's a petting zoo, and I tell vendors like, hey, it's not a petting zoo. Don't let them touch your animals. Unless someone's really serious, like, hey, how much is this snake? I'm interested. Then yeah, you could pull it out and they can interact for a second. But it's not like, hey, I want to touch it because I want to touch everything in the show, like that's
Yeah.
kind of weird.
I just think
I like this year you put out the place cards on each table that said, these may bite.
Yeah, it may bite. Yep.
All right. Purple Church asks, who was running the show at Concourse in the Scottish Rite Center in the 90s? And did they stop running the show and you saw an opportunity to bring the reptile shows back?
Yeah, so it was called IRBA. It was the International Reptile Breeder Association. It was run by a guy named Ray Busby, and he passed away, and then there was no show here, and I just said, you know what? Like I'll just put one on, like it's been a few years and probably like 5 years since he had his show. But and he had a reptile store in San Diego, and he would set up his booth right in front of the show, like first booth, and have all this stuff there, which I thought was kind of a little cheesy. But he ran the show, and he did it actually in Pomona, and he did it in Bakersfield and Victorville, and he did it all over Southern California in the 90s. And then he just he passed away, and so they stopped doing it. And then 5 years went by, and then I started doing it. But what's really weird is I live out in a part of San Diego that's way rural, like out in the, there's chickens and horses and stuff out here, and we're kind of like not in the city. And I'm at my local like Albertson store, and I see him there in the line, and I was like, whoa, that's that guy Ray Busby that ran the old reptile show. And then like 2 weeks later, I'm standing there, in the self-checkout. I'm like, this is the same area where I saw Ray last time. And I turn around, and he's standing right there again, ringing up his food, which is totally weird to me because we're like in the middle of nowhere. I'm like, that's kind of weird that he's here again. But I know he kind of lived kind of close to me, but it was just weird that I thought about it. And then I turned around and he was right there. And then like 2 weeks later, I heard that he passed away. So yeah,
he's got an awesome name. Like he sounds like a character in a novel.
Yeah.
I will probably write this novel now about Ray Busby's life.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about the Anaheim show? I've heard vendors say it isn't as good as Pomona. Asked Lisa.
No, it's good. It's good. It's different. There's a different caliber of people. How do you guys do there?
I did good at the Anaheim the last time we did it, and we do get the Disney tourists in there too that are like trying to kill some time during their day before they do whatever. So they come in and they see the show, and they're not buying anything because they're not hopping a plane with it and all of that. But people still plan for it. Like everybody knows Anaheim's once a year, and they still come. I've even talked to people at this last Pomona, and they're like, "We'll see it in Anaheim." So like everybody plans for it. So
yeah. The last one I did was. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I haven't vended it yet, but I'm planning on vending it this year, so I'm excited to see the difference.
Cool. It's last time I did it, it was just a month after Pomona, and I think that's what affected my gate last July. It was last like June and then July, like not even 30 days after I did the other one, thinking like, they'll come, but they didn't come as strong as I thought they would. So this time I said I'll give it a 3-month gap before I do it.
That's a better idea for sure. And we heard the same thing. Like
and Anaheim is difficult because they only want you to book a year out. Like they're like, they're really strict over there. I tell people Pomona's my friend and Anaheim's the government.
Ariana says, "Hi, Dad. It's Ariana."
That's my daughter.
Yeah. Hi, Ariana.
What's up, girl?
Yeah.
She's 10 years old. She has her iPad. And I went and dropped off all my kids at grandma's house because I wanted like a nice, quiet, And then and she's like, "Daddy, what's the name of the podcast?" And I told her. And then she's like, I saw her typing something. I'm like, all right, she'll probably forget to watch it, but there she is watching.
No, thanks for coming by.
Right.
Hopefully we didn't say anything bad when I wasn't knowing a children was coming.
Like and subscribe.
Oh, very cool. All right. Do we have any tips for people who maybe haven't vended a super show, specifically Pomona, but maybe the other ones too, that you think would help? We talked about not being on your phone, but sometimes I'm like, I think
No,
it's
like
deeper than that.
Yeah, no, I give vendors a big, like a list of things. There's like a whole email that I send out that's very long and goes through a lot of things. And one of them says, stand and smile. Like if you're standing and smiling, you're going to have a successful show. These guys that are sitting down or like I said, on their phones, it doesn't work. Have a bowl of candy out there,
Mhm.
just have a bowl of candy. Like, hey, what's up? Hey, you want one? Check it out. Let me talk to you, like just engage with the people. And just smile and just be courteous. That's it, just like anything, and it will work. Like surprisingly, it'll work. So yeah, I tell people that, and just have a good credit card reader. Make sure you take all forms of payment. There's a lot of things that will increase. Have a business card. I mean, a business card costs you nothing nowadays. Have a cool business card that you just pass out to people. There's a lot of after the show sales. There's a lot of people that call me after the show, like, I saw this gargoyle gecko at this one booth that was in the middle of the building and with the blonde girl and blah blah blah, and he'll help me get her information. It's like, all right, and I'll pass it along. But there is a lot of after the show sales with just leads that you're passing out to people, just like
Absolutely.
a business card, and that's huge. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Did you see this right here? Look at this. USR. This guy made a beer. It's called what's it called again? Hop Constrictor, and it has a picture.
Oh,
of a
that's
snake on it.
cool.
Yeah, and
I
it
don't
says
like beer. I would.
it
buy
says
it
right here. It says the
can.
official beer of the Reptile Super Show, and some of the proceeds of selling this can goes to USARK. And this is my
That's
friend from
cool.
Tortuga Brewing. He has a brewery
Okay.
that's unreal in Southern California, and he made this cool beer for us. And
That's
then they
awesome.
sold it at every beer station in Pomona and at the USARK auction. So it's pretty cool. He brings like 1,000 cans. Has
Does he
it
just
shipped
do
there.
it for the show, or does he keep it on tap at his?
I mean, I don't think he might have this on tap of his place, but he just made this label on these beers.
Okay.
But his operation is incredible. Like, it's on my Instagram. There's one where it shows them making the beer, and I mean, this place is crazy huge. Like, it's very professional. But yeah, he makes all his beers in house, and yeah, he canned this one up. He's been begging me for like 5 years to do that. His name Joe. He's super cool. And then one time when I was there, he gave me some sunglasses from this sunglass place that makes sunglasses right next door to him. And then those guys connected with me, and they sent me like 600 pairs of sunglasses. One's like a snake skin, one's a frog, and one's a crocodile, like on the side. And they sent me 600 pairs just to give out for free to people at the Reptile Super Show. So we only put it on our Instagram, and we put it on our merch, at our merch booth. And the guy at the merch booth was like, I don't know what you did, man, but everyone came to get these glasses. So it's cool.
That's so cool.
My daughter
Yeah.
and my wife got a pair of them.
Yeah, that's cool.
All right. This is kind of a spicy question, Rami. So you tread carefully, I guess. I don't know. What percentage of a show should be ball python tables, in your opinion? Or do you not care and you just like survival?
No, I mean, I care. I don't want, like if I'm
eventually.
going through applications and I see, that it's getting ball python heavy, I'll kind of tell them they're sold out. And then, crested gecko heavy, I'll kind of tell them we're sold out. I want to give everyone the opportunity, but I also don't want to have it a ball python show, which, it's already, but then at the end of the show, you ask the ball python guys, hey, how'd you do? And we did great. Everyone does great, so, I mean, they're all doing good.
I know a lot of show promoters are trying to like balance the like expectations of the guest with the actual like reality that most of the market is breeding ball pythons and crested geckos.
Mm-hmm.
That's just like the facts. And so it's hard to like get the anole breeder to come out or whatever. So I was just curious how you do that. So you just like fill it up. Do you have like a quota, or do you just sort of stop when you're like?
No, I just keep filling it, and then the people I like, I sell in booths. The people I don't like, I tell them I'm sold out. That's just how it goes. It's like everyday life. It's like you're having a party and you're gonna invite all your friends. You invite all the cool people.
That's funny. Oh, Randy and Eric, what species were you selling the most of, and presented the most of?
Yeah, still just ball pythons. Like
Mhm.
we that's all we do right now anyways. But I mean, we didn't have any problem selling. Like so many people were coming up and they didn't even know, like, a lot of the educational part of it, like these are good starter animals, they bring their kids up, and so we talked to them about it. But yeah, we did pretty good. So
Yeah.
So I brought
let's see,
balls and hogs, and strangely enough, I sold more balls than hogs. That was
Mhm.
kind of crazy. But what I thought was a really interesting kind of statistic was that out of all the animals that I sold for the balls, I sold one juvenile female. I had a whole bunch of adults on my table. The rest of everything I sold was babies. And for like the last 2 years, everything I've been selling is adults. So I kind of think that selling babies is a good sign, because it's showing that, people want to get in, they want to get them young, and they're kind of, we're getting away from this trend of everybody just trying to produce as quick as they can.
Mhm.
and we saw this year a lot of new collectors too. So they
Mhm.
don't want an older, bigger snake. They want one that they can grow with and
Yeah.
learn its personality and stuff. I can't tell you how many conversations I had with customers about that, just that alone. So
Or they just want to know the age of it, like sometimes you don't know if it's a year or 5 years, or
Right.
even older. So I think them buying a younger one is kind of giving them the scope of.
and then you tell them they live 30 years and you just get this look on their face like,
Yeah.
what kind of commitment am I making?
Lambert asked, "What were everyone's opinions on the coolest animals that you saw at the show, if you were able to walk around and see it?"
So I have a soft spot for beaded lizards, only because I can't have them.
Yeah, we saw those.
And so I always go around and look at all the beadeds. And then there was one really cool bird that I fell in love with in the bird building that I just didn't come home with.
What
So
species was it?
it was a Myers parrot.
I have Myers. My
Yeah.
family still has it. It's 37 or something.
Yeah. It was 4 months old. It was already hand tame. It was super sweet, and yeah, no, I don't need a bird. I've done my time with birds.
Yeah, the only problem with parrots is they live too long and they're too smart.
And they're loud.
Yeah, but they're
my snakes aren't loud.
No.
Yeah.
Randy, what did you see that was cool? Besides those
We didn't
finches
get
you
a
had
whole
to
lot-
have.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
No,
we
he
didn't get
saw a
whole
lot
of
of
time to
cool
get
stuff. He came home with finches.
Yeah. There was this Dominican red mountain boa I was eyeing all weekend, and
Should have done it.
well, it was supposed to be female and it turned out to be male, so didn't go with it. And then I came home with like the meanest Amazon tree boa ever.
That thing is spicy.
So I've got my work cut out for me with that thing. But
What color is it?
it's like a gray silver face.
It's
Oh, it's
garden
like a
real
garden?
pretty.
Yeah, it's a garden phase.
All right.
Yeah.
They're all cool though, and feral. Rami, what was your favorite? Did you get to see anything in particular?
I like some of these amphibians by this guy named Jay. He has them there, like the Spanish rib newts and these like Iranian newt, all these different kind of newts he has. It's incredible what he has there. And then I also like the big monitors I see. This guy brings these big Asian water monitors, JTK Reptiles. And he has this thing that's like, it's the size of a small child, it's just massive, just huge. That's always cool to see. His name's Chrono. That's always cool to see that big Asian water monitor. And he has a lot of cool monitors at his table.
JTK brings
When he brings it out, you can just see the crowd, like 100 people just.
Yep. So, and it's cool what he brings. And then Armin at Herp Time, he's got these micro geckos. I mean, these things are like an inch long, and they're just incredible. How he has them all displayed and just in these little cool containers. It's really cool. So I like all those micro geckos. Those are cool.
Does he clean up? I just assume he just cleans up at a show because he's got all these little. Oh, it's $100, $50, and he could just sell 200 units, and they're all different, so it's like easy.
Mhm.
You look, yeah, like those spider people. I've never wanted to fight anybody more than getting next to a spider vendor. I'm like, I hate you so much. Stop making $10,000 near me.
Yeah, we're always really close to the vendor that has the big spider hanging from the ceiling, and it's just nonstop flow of people buying spiders at that table.
Yeah, he has
Like,
2 cash registers in his booth.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
he literally, he's like, he's pulling in some of the vendors there. They tell me, they do over $30,000-$40,000 on a weekend.
right.
So it's cool. I love to hear that. I love to hear that, and it's cool. So.
All right, very cool. I always, Lisa brought it up, but East Coasters often say the Super Show is better variety than East Coast shows, especially with like colubrids. And I don't know, I've never been, so I'll have to go sometime, maybe next year. But I believe it. I don't know, like cost of living has a big importance to like what sort of inventory shows up to the show.
Mhm.
Like, if it's low cost of living, people are breeding, pieds and Kenyan Samboas, and that's it, because that's all they can afford. So that's all they're breeding. But an Armin doesn't exist in Missouri. I'm just saying. Sorry. No offense.
I've been to his place. It is it's like a museum. His place. It is absolutely incredible how every cage, is just. I mean, it's just miles long and everything's immaculate, self-watering system, and how he has it. It's really cool. His whole setup is cool. So, yeah, he's a good dude.
All right, we're pretty much at the end. Any final thoughts? When's the next show? Is it Anaheim?
It's Anaheim. It's in 3 months. It's September 13th and 14th. But Jessica, if you want to come out, I highly recommend plan for January 2026. January is a solid show. It's
The January
crazy,
show's
busy.
great. Yeah.
Or come to the LA Pet Fair.
Post Christmas. That's what my problem with Jeremy shows is, like, everyone's all like burnt out on Christmas gifts and they don't want to buy anything.
No, they have Christmas money. They're coming to spend their
That's the
Christmas
exact
money.
opposite. They got money. They got the enclosures at home already, and they're coming to get their
Oh, they're
animals.
ready.
Or
there's more
the wife or the
people.
husband promised the spouse a reptile from the show for Christmas. Like,
There's more
I
people
like
in the
that.
summer show. The LA Pet Fair seems to bring in more people, but I think if they're coming in January, they got money to buy snakes. So.
Yeah, January is a show to see. So plan that. Come out. I'll give you a free VIP pass all weekend.
I'll be your Kim
fair.
Kardashian.
and I'll buy you a
Taylor
corn dog. I mean, a hot dog on a stick. Sorry.
Yeah. I'll even buy you a hot dog.
No,
and a beer. And a USARK beer.
Yeah, no. Like there are very weird locality colubrids that are only really stuck, like sequestered in California in some old guy's basement that I would like to see in person.
There's a lot of really cool colubrids at that show. I mean, and stuff that you don't see very often. I almost picked up a pair of proven breeder alternos, but I just didn't at the last second. But I love
Bob Applegate. He comes to every show, and he says,
he
comes to every show. Meet him.
Shake his hand.
Cool. He's funny.
Very cool. Yeah. All right.
I really miss the fact that we don't get a chance to walk around and see the show like when we used to come before we were vendors, because there is like the largest variety of any show I've been to. I mean, as far as animals. So.
He doesn't buy plane tickets, Quirky. No, yeah, I haven't really decided, but I'm probably not going to vend Dallas because I have never got to actually see Dallas. And even though I made the most money I've made at Dallas this spring, I still am like, you know what? I don't care. I just want to.
You go out to Tinley?
No, I probably should, but I don't like. I usually do too many shows, and this year, like this fall, I'm like intentionally being like, I want to visit things instead of vend it. I don't know. I'll sell it online, whatever, and then they decide what I want to do from there. That's my plan. Yeah. All right, I think we did it. Let's say goodbye, everybody. Everybody, come to Anaheim if you're nearby.
Yeah,
it's an awesome show.
Bye bye.
Thank you.